Good afternoon. Welcome on in to another episode of From Day One. This afternoon we have a frequent traveler coming through court. Today, though, we finally get to find out her fate as we go to sentencing.
Okay, Miss Green, how are you today? I'm good. We're going to go on the record in your case. We're scheduled for sentencing. This is state of Kansas versus, um,
Loser.
is it Sirs? It's Karis. Karis. Yeah, Karis. Janu? Juno Green? Juno. Like Alaska. Yeah. Juno Green. I'm sorry. It's okay. All right. Your case number is Greenwood County District Court case number 22 CR 136. State appears fine through Ms. Shirley, um, who is covering for Ms. Gillette, the Greenwood County attorney. Also appearing as your attorney, Mr. Ambrose, for purposes of sentencing. It looks like you've been scored at a criminal history score of G, which is, I will ask Mr. Ambrose if you had a chance to review the PSI with your client.
Uh, excuse me, we talked about it. Yes, we talked about it, Judge, and it came out just how we were planning on it. Everything looks
Okay. Looks like out of Anchorage, Alaska, there is a vehicle theft that was a felony in 2019.
correct, Judge.
The rest are misdemeanors. There's quite a few misdemeanors, but the rest are misdemeanors. She is being sentenced on a simple possession of methamphetamine that is a level 5 drug felony. So the sentencing range is 14 to 16 months with a 15-month mid-range. This case is presumptive probation. Unfortunately, she's not Senate bill eligible because she is reportedly
Stupid person.
an out-of-state resident. I thought it was Washington, not Alaska, but it looks like it's Bellevue, Washington. But I thought there was some comment in the evaluation that she had a mother or some relative here in Kansas.
No, Judge, her mom was in Alaska.
Okay.
Miss Green had lived up in Alaska until sounds about just right before COVID, and then she found her way down to the lower 48.
All right. Well, it is unfortunate that she can't get the benefit of Senate bill treatment here in Kansas. She is a total score of 40. That's one of the highest scores I've seen in terms of risk assessment. And she's also pretty high as it relates to the probability of drug dependency. So she would qualify for Senate bill, but because she doesn't have a Kansas residency, she doesn't, which is disappointing. But at any rate, are you ready to proceed to sentencing? Yes. All right. Mr. Ambrose, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Recommendations then from the state. I believe pursuant to the plea negotiations that the state would be recommending standard sentence of 15 months be imposed. She is presumptive probation. The issues, obviously, the post-release and probation durations are both 12 months. We have restitution with KBI Lab in the amount of $400. Additionally, we have court costs, attorney's fees, the DNA database fee is $200. I believe there's a cooking fee. I am, and this is the assignment recommended is community corrections, which is absolutely appropriate to make sure that she completes the treatment recommendations. They want an inpatient followed by an intensive outpatient based upon the recommendations from the testing. And it sounds like this young lady is in dire need of those services. I don't know what her intent is when she is sentenced, how soon she's going to get out or where she's going to go, but that's a lot of money and time that she's going to have to spend to comply with terms and conditions. And I don't know if this is going to be transferable to another state. Those would be my only concerns. Beyond that, she is presumptive probation, but I do hope that she gets all the treatment that she so desperately needs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I guess that's one thought I had. Before I enter all these orders, Mr. Ambrose, how is your client going to physically get from Kansas back to Washington?
So my understanding, and Miss Green can correct me if I'm wrong, is that she will actually have someone waiting for her today, I believe, um, to get her and get her up there. Now that being said, I think that can't promise this, but I should have at least warned that if we're doing interstate compact, there's going to be a little bit, there could be a slight delay that we're going to have to take care of before she can go very far.
Yep.
However, our plan would be to request interstate compact to Washington, um, with the understanding that all the current obligations still stand, and she's going to have to work with her probation officer up there to get that stuff taken care of. Um, I have, unfortunately, I think Miss Green has made us all a little bit famous, because of just some notoriety that this case has carried with it.
Yeah.
However, talking with her,
So I'll stop there for just a second. Between us and other YouTube individuals who like to cover this kind of content, she's had over 1.5 million views of her, let's just say, craziness that it's led us to this point. All right, sorry, defense attorney, you were saying?
she has, um, she understands that she's in a spot where she is very young and was involved in some very foolish and stupid behavior, and that she needs to get help. And I think, frankly, um, her co-defendant passed away of an overdose. Um, oh, who was it then? I'm sorry.
He didn't pass away of an overdose.
Okay, sorry. Co-defendant passed away all the same. And I think that shook Miss Green quite a bit. Um, and she's heard similarly the same warnings from me that, um, frankly, we're in a spot where street dogs have gotten really dangerous really fast in a way that they haven't been until recently. And she understands her need for treatment, and I, I anticipate she's going to be successful on that because, frankly, she's had 127 days that she's been in custody this time to, um, think about her life, which for someone so young who has never seen these kind of consequences for her actions before is pretty jarring. Would note that she does have 134 days total time served. My bill is going to be about $800 by the time we're done. I would ask the court to make consideration with that, in that she, um, is going to be responsible for a whole lot of treatment stuff on her own, and even if she, has some coverage for that, there's going to be costs associated with that, and frankly, her ability to engage in meaningful employment for a while after gets out is going to be limited because, as I think all of us know, is the treatment obligations are so intense at first that her ability to be able to work full time is just going to be not there. That being said, I have noticed, um, a substantial shift in Miss Green's attitude as we've worked through this case, and, um, I'm hopeful that she's going to be able to get out and go down the path she needs to, because she is very young to be burying her life, in a non-meaningful way.
Okay. Well, I guess what I saw on the last page of Lisa Gray's evaluation, um, at A New Journey is that she doesn't have a stable home at this time in Kansas, and they were referencing mom and mom's boyfriend, and so that led me to some confusion. confusion, but it's very clear after reading this that her family is in another state, fairly far away. All right. Ms. Green, is there anything that you want to say before I impose your sentence?
No, Your Honor. The assessment did assess me at an intensive outpatient. She did originally say intensive inpatient, but then I was talking with her, and then she was like, she was fine with intensive outpatient. But yeah, but it's okay. Thank you.
Well, I can't really go with what she tells you. I have to go with what she's written. And that is that you should go to a intermediate residential treatment and inpatient, and then go to level 1 outpatient and 12-step, which you've done in Alaska apparently before. And so that's what they'll be directed to put in the journal entry, and then when you sign a release and community corrections takes over your case, they can recontact the evaluator and see. But it sounds like your situation is serious enough with intravenous drug use, as I recall, that you're high enough risk that you probably should start with inpatient and graduate from that and then move to outpatient. So I believe you expressed that you were going through Kansas headed somewhere for some funerals. And then there's been mention of overdoses. So I don't think I need to lecture you on what happens to serious and chronic drug abusers. They end up in jail or in the morgue. It's pretty much that simple. I have to impose the Department of Corrections sentence, and I will, of 15 months. There is no fine since this crime was not financially motivated. You do have what I view as a pretty significant record for your age, including a felony. You also, as I indicated, I'm not sure I've seen a 40. I'm sure I have, but pretty rare. So you're pretty high on the risk assessment, which concerns me about your ability to complete probation. However, you are presumptive probation, and I will grant the same to you. I am allowed to give you up to 60 additional days in the county jail as a condition to this felony probation. I think what I'd like to do is order you to remain in the county jail until your interstate compact is approved to Washington. I will tell you that my understanding is, since you were traveling through Kansas and you are an actual resident, apparently, of Washington, you get preference over someone who's living in Kansas that has a relative in Washington, just wants to go to Washington for a fresh start. So people who are residents are expedited through the compact. I don't know how quickly that will be, but hopefully by the end of the week.
Your Honor, if I may interject briefly.
Yes.
We
Please
don't
don't.
believe that she will be approved for immediate transfer to interstate compact just because she's not a resident of Washington before the case. So she'll have to remain in Kansas up to 45 days until her interstate compact can be approved.
So what does her driver's license and her record show that she is a resident of Alaska?
Your Honor, if I may speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
She is a resident of Alaska. However, on the PSI, she had plans to move to Washington State. So I put that as where she was going to go. She had no plan to move back to Alaska unless the Washington situation fell through. And I believe the Washington address is a boyfriend that she had met online.
Oh,
And where does your mom live?
In Palmer.
Palmer where?
Alaska.
Well, that's where I think you should go back to.
I actually have an itinerary to go to Washington. Like, I'm on the lease.
yeah, no.
And the plan, because I was unaware about the whole interstate compact thing, I wasn't really told about that there would be a delay about that and that. So my
Sucks for
boyfriend
you.
flew down into Wichita today. He landed at 1:13. He's staying at the Hyatt, and then I had sentencing tomorrow. Was planning on getting that's I thought the plan was to get out that day, and then I have a plane ticket to what Seattle on the 18th. I fly to Seattle
Yeah, not anymore.
with him.
Well, if he brought a lease, he can produce a lease, and you are living with him or been living with him. Hopefully, um, Washington State will accept that and consider you a resident. Um, but I don't know. But you need to stay in custody until you've been approved to compact, because you apparently don't want to go to Alaska, which is fine. But if you're going to Washington State, we have to get approval from them, and then you can be released to go. Um, it's kind of that simple. You can't go to Washington without permission from them. So I can't keep you past 60 days, so I have to release you at 60 days. And you'll just have to figure out how to stay in Kansas until, I mean, if you're not compacted 60 days, I need to be notified. I can't imagine why you can't be compacted by then. And then I'm going to request that not only does community corrections um, start the paperwork for compact, but they also figure out what county you're in, get a hold of the supervisor or director of community corrections there, visit with them about where you're going to be living and what they can offer in the way of assistance or treatment to get you into treatment once you get there. And I'm going to order that you abide by the recommendations of the evaluation that we currently have. And if there's a request for modification of that by your probation officer, I'll be happy to sign off on that once you get up there and find out what you qualify for. I forget what you told the evaluator. Does your boyfriend use?
No.
Okay.
Of course he does, Your Honor. That's why I'm going there.
You're going to have to provide information, of course, background information about him and all of that. So, all right. So your controlling sentence is 15 months. You're placed on probation with community corrections for 12 months. You are authorized to be released from the custody of the county jail after 60 days, but earlier when the compact occurs. I find that you're criminal history score G. I give you credit on your 15-month sentence of 134 days and any other days that you spend. So if you spend 6 more days in custody, you'll get 6 more days. Whatever you accumulate between now and getting compacted. And I know that you are frustrated never ask about compact with you, or nor did anybody ever apprise me. Generally, that's something that an attorney talks to you about, and I'm sure Mr. Ambrose, he appears to be quite aware of interstate compact visited. I'm not going to allow you to go to a hotel in Greenwood County and sit there for 30 days, and I can't allow you to get on a plane and go back to Washington. The state gets fined millions of dollars, and what's more, we can't ethically or legally violate interstate compact. And if you lived in Kansas and you committed the same crime in Washington, it'd be the same situation. So it applies to everybody across the board. But I'm certainly going to let you go back to that state. But that's sort of the risk you run when you're involved in activities and drug use that results in a felony charge, someplace that you're not even from or familiar with. And so I'm sorry.
I just thought it was part of my deal. Like it was part of my deal, like from the very beginning. Is that
if I didn't tell you when you pled that something was part of your deal, it wasn't part of your deal. So I understand your frustration, but you're safe where you're at, and I don't want to keep you in jail any longer than we have to. I just want to make sure there's no issues or snags that develop, and I don't think hanging out in a motel room at a Motel 6 in Eureka
They don't leave the light on for you?
the answer for you just to be released without any.
could I do it in Wichita?
No. No. So, and again, I ordered this a lot for people to remain in custody until they get straight to inpatient or, in this case, compact. So, you have 12 months of post release, which I'm supposed to assess now as parole, but you won't be on parole if you complete your probation and your treatment successfully. If you don't, there'll be a warrant issued for you and you'll be extradited back to Kansas until you finish up your sentence. I don't want that again to happen. So I wanted you to put this behind you. And I'm also supposed to assess good time credit, which is 20%. Definitely you want your jail credit. I'm also supposed to assess $400 in KBI fee. I'm going to assess the $200 DNA fee because I want to make sure that we have a swab before you go, because I have no idea whether Alaska did that or not. Most importantly, I don't know if they put it in CODIS, which is a national database. It needs to be in there. Then there are supervision fees and an assessment fee of $175, $100 bids fee. I will waive attorney's fees. I think Mr. Ambrose has probably put a considerable amount of time to the tune of probably almost several $1,000s into this case. But I can't find that you have the current funds or ability to produce income to repay those fees. You have 14 days to appeal this decision.
Please don't. Don't get it done.
You can petition after you've completed probation. After 2 years, by the third year, you can apply and petition for expungement of this record in Kansas. You are allowed to do that, but you have to remain drug alcohol free and not violate the law. I understand. Okay, I believe that you have the ability to follow direction and probation, but they will go over your conditions. Again, no possession or consumption of alcohol or drugs. They're going to give you random breath, blood, and urinalysis testing to ensure your compliance. I am waiving community service. I do want you, once you finish treatment, to obtain employment. I do think a residential program, a women's recovery program would be very good for you, but I don't know what's available in Bellevue. And so I'm not going to order that at this point. You need to report as directed and provide contact information. They may give you curfew restrictions. You always have travel restrictions. Anyone who's on felony probations, like interstate compact, you have to get a travel permit to go to even a neighboring state. Follow all your recommendations. They'll set up monthly payments with you. And I think that's it. Anything I've missed or anything further, counsel?
I think you've covered it, Judge.
All right. Ms. Shirley?
Yes, Your Honor, the firearms restrictions. Did you get that?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so once you're convicted of a felony in this state, you are prohibited to possess firearms. You're also, while you're on probation, prohibited from possessing dangerous weapons. But your firearm restriction lasts in the state of Kansas for at least 5 to 7 years. Okay? Do you have any questions about that? All right.
So, Your Honor, with regard to the evaluation, drug evaluation does say inpatient, but you want me to specifically state it's not ordered at this time, as no information about the available programs?
I can order into a recovery, residential recovery. But I think the recommendation is initially inpatient and then level 1 outpatient. So I at least want that. If you want to just abide by substance abuse evaluation, that's fine. What I'm telling community corrections is if they look at the evaluation, it doesn't seem to be clear to them, or it's not available in Bellevue, then the community corrections officer should be in contact with the evaluator, see if she needs a new substance abuse evaluation up there, or if the evaluator here agrees or would modify. But we got to have that modification in writing. It can't be Mr. Ambrose because the evaluator told her something. Okay. Anything?
All right, and with that, there is nothing else. We'll leave this to a close. Come on back tonight for more fun. I'll try to find us some subsets as we march along here from day one. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tonight.